Can you imagine a day of reflection and mourning turning into a horrifying nightmare? That's exactly what happened in Iran on the 4th anniversary of General Qassemsoleimani's death. A somber procession in Kerman, Iran was violently disrupted by 2 explosions. The attendees were there to commemorate the 4th anniversary of General Soleimani's assassination, a figure of significant influence in Iran's regional military activities. But what was meant to be a moment of remembrance turned into a scene of chaos and devastation. The casualty count is staggering, with at least 103 people killed and 141 injured. The aftermath of the attack is a grim tableau of destruction and despair. Emergency services rushed to the scene, the wounded were hurriedly attended to, and the dead were mourned. The second explosion, a cruel tactic often utilized by militants, detonated about 15 minutes after the first, targeting emergency personnel who were rushing to aid the victims of the initial blast. While the dust settles and the wounded are tended to, the question remains: who could have committed such a horrific act? But who was this man, General Qasem Soleimani, whose death 4 years ago still draws such large crowds? Soleimani, a figure of towering significance, was the head of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps from 1998 until his untimely death in 2020. His influence permeated far beyond Iran's borders, shaping the political landscape of the Middle East. Soleimani was instrumental in strengthening Iran's ties with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and with Syria's al-Assad, as well as Shia fighters in Iraq. In doing so, he managed to expand Iran's sphere of influence, a feat that provoked concern among regional foes like Saudi Arabia and Israel, as well as the United States. Soleimani's death in a U.S. air raid at Baghdad's International Airport in 2020 sparked both celebration and condemnation, reflecting the divisive nature of his legacy. Yet within Iran and among his allies, he is remembered as a martyr and a hero. His death marked a significant turning point, and his commemoration became the site of a gruesome act of terror. As the shock subsides, the quest for justice begins. The agents and perpetrators of this grievous crime will undoubtedly be punished. These were the words of Iran's head of judiciary, Gholam Hossein Mohseni Ejei. In the aftermath of the devastating twin explosions in Kerman, Iran, the country is rallying to investigate the tragedy, seek answers, and bring the culprits to justice. The investigation has kicked off in full gear, with several leads to follow and numerous questions to answer. The head of Kerman's emergency services, Mohammad Saberi, confirmed the rising death toll, now standing at 103. He reported, "The current number of the injured is 141, some of whom are critically injured." With each passing hour, the magnitude of the tragedy is becoming more apparent, and the urgency to find the culprits intensifies. While the nation mourns, the focus of the investigation is on the cause of the explosions. Preliminary reports suggest that the bombs were placed in suitcases and detonated remotely. This theory contradicts earlier suggestions of suicide bombers. The Tasnim news agency reported this detail, although there has been no official confirmation yet. An unidentified witness whose voice was aired by state television reported one of the bombs was placed in a rubbish bin. This information, if verified, could provide crucial leads in the investigation. As we delve deeper into the details, the quest for justice is in full swing. With the death toll rising and the nation in mourning, the quest for answers and justice becomes even more urgent. As the investigation unfolds, theories emerge. Was it a remote detonation or a suicide bombing? The truth remains shrouded in mystery. In the wake of the tragic event, we are left with a multitude of questions. How did this happen? Who is responsible? And perhaps most intriguingly, what was the method of execution? Initial reports suggest that 2 briefcases loaded with explosives were placed at the entrance of the cemetery and detonated remotely. A chilling thought indeed, the idea of an unseen hand pushing a button to unleash such devastation. But then, a contradiction. Other accounts tell a different story, suggesting that it may have been the work of suicide bombers. This theory paints a picture no less disturbing, of individuals so committed to their cause that they are willing to pay the ultimate price. Adding to the confusion, an unidentified woman claims one of the bombs was placed in a trash can. She recalls how she narrowly escaped the blast, her clothes stained with the blood of others. As we sift through these conflicting narratives, one thing becomes clear. We are far from understanding the full scope of this horrific act. The investigation is ongoing, and as more evidence comes to light, we may yet find the answers we are looking for. But until then, we are left with theories and uncertainties. We are left to grapple with the chilling reality of what happened on that fateful day. And as we do, we are reminded of the enduring impact of General Qasem Soleimani, a man whose life and death continue to shape the course of history. As the world watches, the gravity of this event serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the enduring impact of one man's life and death.